Paper Mario is one of my favorite Nintendo franchises I've ever played, but in recent years the fanbase has grown more and more upset with the games. Ever since the original trilogy of Paper Mario, The Thousand Year Door, and Super Paper Mario ended, it seems as if things had taken a big turn. With the release of Paper Mario Sticker Star, the once beloved franchise lost many of its original fans. Of course, the game series continued on with Color Splash and the Origami King, but those games never quite appealed to the fans of the first three. There are a laundry list of reasons as to why, but the thing I want to focus on right now is actually the quality of the original games. To most fans of these, Paper Mario's debut on the 64 is somewhat of a legend. Enjoyers of the newer games most likely never even played this unless they gave it a try on the Switch Online service. On the other side of things, original players of Paper Mario 64 probably think it's amazing, but tend to defer to the Thousand Year Door as the superior game. This lack of a general consensus around the game sparked some sort of a curiosity in me. I've personally played through Paper Mario countless times, but never really while thinking about the integrity of the game and how it holds up to this day. Since I had this idea, I figured it would be worth diving way back into Paper Mario to see whether or not it was actually good. When you boot up the game, you're played a cutscene where Bowser steals something called the Star Rod from Star Haven. This item grants the wishes of people across the world, but now Bowser stole that power for himself and sealed the 7 Star Spirits. This game actually begins with Mario and Luigi receiving an invitation letter to Peach's castle. Naturally, they head straight there. Upon their arrival, there are a bunch of people to talk within the castle, but if you head straight to the top floor, we can meet Princess Peach. Right as she and Mario are sharing a moment, Bowser interrupts from the window and breaks in as the entire castle is lifted into the sky. This time around, he has a new item to make him stronger, the Star Rod. This battle is unwinnable and we absolutely get destroyed and sent back to Earth. With this segment done, we begin the prologue. We see Mario lying unconscious in the middle of the forest until the 7 Star Spirits help heal Mario with the little power they have left. Afterwards, a Goomba named Goombaria finds Mario and tells her family to come help him. While Mario is recovering at a Toad house, he is asked by Eldstar to come to Shooting Star Summit in Toad Town in order for these Star Spirits to speak to him easier. Mario eventually wakes up and we try to leave Goomba Village, but the gate is being fixed right now, so we go to kill some time. Once the gate is finished, we're once again stopped due to Kammy Koopa placing a massive yellow block in front of the gate. Now we have to go find a hammer somewhere. After a short tutorial sequence and fighting our first mini-boss fight, we're ready to break that block and move on. But first, we meet another Goomba named Goombario, who is asked to join Mario on his adventure, giving us our first party member. On our way to Toad Town, we encounter the Goomba King and his 2 henchmen, which we take down and continue on our path. When we arrive in Toad Town, there's a lot for us to see, but we'll get to that all eventually. For now, going to Shooting Star Summit is the most important thing. This area of the game is probably one of my favorite places in all of gaming. The atmosphere combined with the music is something to truly remember. As we ascend the summit, we meet the 7 spirits who tell Mario about Bowser stealing the Star Rod from the sanctuary at Star Haven. We are then given the job to retrieve the item from the clutches of Bowser and save Peach in her castle. To do this, we need to find all 7 of them that have been trapped in different locations around the Mushroom Kingdom. With this new knowledge, the prologue concludes. After this, we're taken to the point of view of Princess Peach, who is currently captured in her own castle and pondering her situation. She takes a moment on her balcony as a little star appears out of nowhere whose name is Twink, and he tells Peach that she can make any wish she'd like, so she obviously asks to take the Star Rod from Bowser, although Twink is still a rookie at granting wishes, so he could not do that. Instead, Peach asks him to take a pendant to Mario, which will allow us to use action commands in battle. Once we finish up in Shooting Star Summit, we head back to Toad Town where you meet Merlin the Fortune Teller. There are a few dudes blocking the way to the next town, so Merlin revealed that they were the Koopa Bros and scared them away. We progressed further and began Chapter 1. The path in front of us had a lot of puzzles to complete, but eventually we made it to the Koopa Village. There seems to be a massive infestation of fuzzies here and we need to help get rid of them. While we were here, we met Cooper, who had his shell stolen. After we get it back for him, he joins our party and hopes he can one day meet the famous archaeologist Colorado. Next, we travel to Koopa Fortress where we find several more puzzles to complete. During one of them, we have to intentionally fall for a trap and end up in a jail cell with a bunch of bombs. After talking to the pink bomb, she reveals her name is Bombette and immediately joins your party so they can escape. After breaking out, we make our way towards the boss room and encounter the Koopa Bros once again. They hop inside of a Bowser mech and battle us. Once we beat them all, we are able to free the first Star Spirit and complete the first chapter. Immediately after this, we have another Peach segment where we get to explore the castle a little bit more and even read Bowser's diary. The main thing we get out of this though is the location of the next Star Spirit, which Twink is able to relay to Mario. At this point, we can actually head straight to Dry Desert via the train in Toad Town, starting Chapter 2. In this beginning area, we have to traverse Mount Mount Rugged and help find letters for this mailman Parakarry. In return, he joins our adventure, only asking us to make sure to pick up his other lost letters along the way. Past Mount Rugged is Dry Desert and eventually Dry Outpost. This town has a couple of things, but first we need to get information on the Star Spirit's location in Dry Ruins. By negotiating with some of the townsfolk, we are able to find out where Dry Ruins is and traverse the desert. Eventually, we find it and are faced with a dungeon full of puzzles. It takes a while to get through, but we meet Tutton Koopa at the end of it, who is working for Bowser. We challenge him to a boss fight, beat him, and save the second Star Spirit. I guess now would be a good time to mention that saving these spirits gives us special moves in battle. Anyway, we get another Peach segment, and this time we get to explore a bigger portion of the castle. We have to hide from these guards in order to find more information about the next Star Spirit, which is being held by the invincible Tubba Blubba. Apparently, there's some sort of weak point he has, but Peach gets caught and is sent back to her room before they could figure anything else out. Back in Toad Town, there's been a ghost spotted scaring the guard to the Forever Forest. This ghost requests for us to go through the forest and meet their master, so we enter and begin chapter 3. The Forever Forest is a confusing segment of the game, but only if you don't know what you're doing. These little flower bushes will point you to the right direction, but if you go the wrong way, you'll be sent in a loop. On the way through the forest, we encounter this flower guy who gives us a seed. This will be important later. After leaving the forest, we head inside the mansion to meet the Boo who wanted to see us, but of course we have to complete some puzzles beforehand. Once we get some new shoes allowing us to ground pound, we finally meet Bo, the master of this place. She requested to see us because there's an area ahead which is being terrorized by Tubba Blubba, and she needs our help to save the Boos there. She also adds immense incentive by showing that she actually has the next Star Spirit, who did manage to escape initially, but was unfortunately captured again by the Boos. Bo ends up joining our party so she can defeat Tubba Blubba with us. As we move ahead, we find a locked windmill that may hold some secrets to defeating Tubba Blubba, but we move ahead towards his palace first. Once we sneak through the place, we eventually find the key to the windmill, but it starts talking and alerts Tubba Blubba that we're stealing it. We make a run for the windmill, and inside we find a talking heart. Apparently, this heart is the true Tubba Blubba, and the one we saw earlier is just the body. So we battle the heart until it runs back into Tubba Blubba. Now that the heart and body are reunited, Tubba Blubba is actually able to be defeated. Fortunately, he lets out all the ghosts he ate, and we're allowed to get the Star Spirit from Bo, who decides to stay with us for our journey. We then cut to Peach, who leaves her room once again. She finds out that the next Star Spirit is in Shy Guy's toy box before Bowser asks her some questions about Mario. Afterwards, she's sent straight back to her room, and we cut back to Mario in Toad Town. We have another battle with Junior Troopa along the way, and find that Shy Guys are causing trouble in the town. Twink flies down and tells us exactly where the next spirit is, and then we head to find Shy Guy's toy box. Using Bo's ability to become invisible, we get one of the Shy Guys to reveal the hidden room with a box in it, so we follow it and start chapter 4. This place is literally a toy box with 4 areas accessible via a train. The train isn't actually here right now though, so we move around the area that's available. Eventually, we collect all of the items that were stolen from Toad Town and return them to their owners. In return, the shopkeeper gives us a toy train which we throw into the box. While it may be small in the real world, the train is life-sized in the box. Now we're able to explore the entirety of this place. Along the way, we run into a very large Shy Guy named Gourmet Guy who says that he's hungry, so we feed him cake and he gives us a cookbook. Sometime afterwards, we encounter a mini-boss that once we defeat, reveals a new character named Watt. She joins our party since we saved her, and we continue on to fight the main boss of the area, General Guy. Once defeated, we save the 4th Star Spirit and return to Peach's point of view. Once again, she wants to sneak out, and this time, she meets Gourmet Guy in the castle. He doesn't really care that she's sneaking out and asks her to bake him a cake. After completing some intense cake baking gameplay, we feed it to Gourmet Guy, who tells us the location of the next Star Spirit in Mount Lava Lava. Twink once again flies down to tell Mario, and we try to find clues on how to get there. We find a whale that could potentially take us there, but first we need to help get this creature out of its stomach. With that out the way, we can now head to Lava Lava Island and start chapter 5. Once we arrive, we head into Yoshi Village and check out the entrance to the volcano where the Star Spirit is. The entrance isn't accessible right now though, so we go back to the village to find clues. Unfortunately, we come back and it seems that a group of Yoshi kids have gone missing. We check out the local jungle to find them, but first we find their babysitter Sushi, who got tricked into getting stuck into a tree. She joins our party and helps us find the kids. After we save them, we go through a long sequence trying to find an alternate route to the volcano. Eventually, we find some birds that set up a zip line for us to enter it. There are a lot of tough enemies here, but we venture deep into the volcano until we find the lava piranha. Turns out this thing was guarding the Star Spirit, although that's not as important as getting out of the volcano that is about to erupt. Once we get out, we cut to Peach, who feels like sneaking out again. This time, we run into Bowser's minions, who don't actually take her back to her room. Instead, she's asked to be a contestant on a game show. The answers to these questions actually help us find out out where the next Star Spirit is, but once we get the information and win the game show, we're sent back. Once we return to Toad Town, Junior Troopa challenges us again, and then we find out the use for those seeds we've been collecting over the journey. When we plant these magical seeds, the door to Flower Fields opens, which is the location of the next Star Spirit. We promptly enter and begin Chapter 6. Unlike a lot of the previous chapters, we don't have to go through some big area before we can get to our destination. Well, at least not technically. The moment we walk through the door, we enter Flower Fields, and despite the Star Spirit being held here by Huff and Puff, we can't actually reach him because he's in the sky. All we can do now is do our best to gather some items to hopefully clear the darkness and find a way to the sky. There are a few different paths here, but they all involve helping these flower creatures out of their tough situations. In return, we get things that will help us reach the top. On our way through Flower Fields, we battle a Lakitu who calls himself Spike, although his girlfriend reveals that his name is actually Lackluster. After the fight, he ends up joining our party as our last team member. Once we get him, we complete the last few puzzles here and find the source behind the darkness in Flower Fields, and the sun returns to the sky. Back in the center of the area, we're able to build a massive plant that we climb to reach Huff and Puff. We battle him and save the 6th Star Spirit, leaving only one remaining. After another segment with Peach where we sneak around disguised as an enemy, Mario returns to Toad Town and finds someone who has requested our presence. A Ninja has asked Mario to come to Starborn Valley, and the way to it is via a pipe underneath Toad Town. Once we enter, we begin Chapter 7. On the other side of the pipe is Shiver City, and somehow we end up being accused of murder almost immediately. We stumble upon the body of the mayor, and we're forced to find out who did this. After some searching, the mayor actually wakes up and apparently he just bumped his head on something. Despite the waste of time, we're allowed to leave the town and move towards our objective now. Not long after leaving, Junior Troopa challenges us to a fight, so we beat him and continue on the path. At some point, we encounter a big ghost-shaped monster who battles us until we beat it and reveal it to be a facade created by a bunch of Star Kids. Right after this, we found the person who wanted to speak to us in Starborn Valley. They tell us that the last Star Spirit is located in the Crystal Palace. However, they did not know where to find it besides a vague hint of its general location and a scarf we need to unlock the palace. We head back to Shiver City to look for more hints, until we're told to use this bucket and the scarf together to uncover a secret path. By placing these items on the snowman, we're able to reveal the path, and by the end of it, we find a shrine where we get an item to unlock the Crystal Palace. This place consists of a lot of corridors and interesting puzzles, but at the end of it is a battle with the Crystal King. With him defeated, we finally save the Star Spirit and we're able to face Bowser. We cut to the last segment of Peach where she's talking with Twink until Bowser shows up and takes her away. Back in Toad Town, we go to Shooting Star Summit where the path to Star Haven is able to be opened with the power of the Star Spirits. As beautiful as the place is, our only objective here is to physically speak with the spirits and retrieve their power. From here, we're given a ship to take to the sky and reach Bowser. Chapter 8 begins and we enter Bowser's castle. The enemies here are quite strong, but we progress through collecting keys and solving puzzles. At one point, Junior Troopa returns to challenge us to one final fight. After this battle, we complete Bowser's castle and reach Peach's castle. We return to the place where Bowser defeated us before, except now we're a lot stronger. Using the power bestowed upon us by the Star Spirits, we're able to neutralize the Star Rod and defeat Bowser, at least only for a moment. He takes Peach to the top of the castle, receives a power boost, and now our power to stop the Star Rod stops working. At this point, we have no way of hurting Bowser, so the point of view changes to Peach and Twink, who are battling Kammy Koopa. Using the power of Peach's wishes, Twink actually manages to beat her, giving them the idea to use wishes to help Mario. Peach channels all her energy into giving power to the Star Spirits, and they get a huge boost in power. Now, we can actually hurt Bowser again. After a long battle, we finally beat him for real and take back the Star Rod. Peach's castle returns back to Earth, and we cut back to Mario's house where he had just told the story of his adventure to Luigi. At this point, Peach had sent invitations all across the kingdom for another party, this time with no interruptions. Then they hold a massive parade honoring the saviors of the Mushroom Kingdom. Mario and Peach watch the fireworks as the game cuts to his final scene, the end. Now I know that was a lot to take in, so let's get into some of my major takeaways I got from this game. First of all, the writing of this game is essentially timeless. With a game this old, you would expect a lot of the humor and jokes to fall flat, but honestly, I didn't see it that way. I mean, sure, the wording might be a little antiquated, but overall, I had a few good laughs throughout the adventure. It might not have the same modern kick as the recent games, but it still works. On the other side of the writing, the story is sort of okay. It feels like a very traditional JRPG style of a story where you have this crazy opening sequence where you're too weak to stop something from happening, so you go on this wild journey to get back to where you were. I do love this style of a story, but I have to admit that this is pretty basic. Although for a Mario game, it is actually kind of in-depth. The only major criticism I have for this is how incredibly slow-paced the beginning of the game is. Every time I go to replay it, I struggle to get through the first hour. After that though, it's pretty fun. One thing you're going to realize as you play the game though is that it's quite repetitive. Like any other RPG, you're going to have a lot of battles that you don't really want to fight and a lot of backtracking. While I'm not a massive fan of this in games made these days, I don't mind this more formulaic style if the games are a bit older. Also, the atmosphere of Paper Mario really helps out the experience. The feeling of a journey never leaves you, and the fact that you gradually build up a group of party members along the way is awesome. I love stories that start off with just you, and as you progress, you find companions that make you stronger. The art design of Paper Mario is also super great for being on the N64. Of course, there are more basic places, but then you also have areas like Shooting Star Summit which are absolutely beautiful. When you accompany these visuals with the beautiful music, it makes for an incredibly memorable experience. Overall, I'm struggling to come up with major praises and major criticisms for this game. Sure, there are high points like in Chapter 7 and low points like the beginning of the game, but nothing really sticks out to me. And you know, that kind of makes sense. Paper Mario was meant to expand upon the foundation that Mario RPG built, and that's exactly what it did. The sequel of Paper Mario, The Thousand Year Door, did the same thing, so no wonder the original feels a little lacking. But if you ask me whether or not I think this game is actually good or not, I'd say it absolutely is. But it's just nothing spectacular. Like, it's a phenomenal game to go back to if you're feeling a little nostalgic and want a fun time, but in terms of the actual gameplay, I think that The Thousand Year Door is better in almost every way, at least at a glance. Regardless, I think that Paper Mario is a timeless classic that I'll probably end up going back to several times in the future.